Where is everybody, Becky?
Why are you asking her?
Yeah, right.
Oh, I didn't see anybody else.
Oh, no, we're here. We're slowly coming in.
Okay, all right. And she was the only one that I saw.
The only one you could see.
Yeah.
I thought you put her in charge.
No, no, no.
Um, okay, I think we can get started. John, my computer, I've charged it, but it needs to get plugged in. I need to plug this in. Could you start us out?
Sure, we'll do. Let me just pull up the agenda.
We have uh two sets of minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we have a quorum yet? Or should we wait a couple minutes?
There are enough here.
There's enough here? Okay, thank you. All right, good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Uh, Morning. So we have two sets of minutes. And I know that they went out about an hour ago, but if you've had a chance to review those, and if anyone wants to make a motion or have
John,
any comments.
I just have a comment on the February minutes.
Sure, Becky, go ahead.
Sure. So my name was just that's very not important, but it's Jacobson, not Johnson. So that just needs to be corrected.
Oh,
And
yep, okay.
then under the OHA report, Roman numeral 6, and then section C, it says that OHA was working on our ROI, a release of information, our HIPAA reform, but it was actually new motion and NSM's forms, and they are already completed. We're just trying to get them onto our website. So that's what we're working on. So I just wanted to make sure that that was corrected.
Okay,
Thank you.
sure. We can make sure those get amended appropriately. Are there any other comments on the minutes? Okay, Brianne, should we vote on the minutes separately or as a package deal with both of them? What's
You can
protocol?
do it all or once or separate, whichever you prefer.
Okay. Um, if someone wants to make a motion to amend the minutes or approve the minutes as amended.
I'll make a motion. I think Michelle's hand's up too.
Okay, yep. Hi, Michelle. I see you. Sorry about that. Thank you. Okay. And Becky will second. Okay. All those in favor? Okay.
I
Any
Aye.
opposed? Okay. Abstentions? Okay. Seeing none, the minutes are approved. Okay. With that, we will go ahead and move on to the new motion report. So Gary, the floor is yours. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you, everybody. I submitted our data and I'm happy to say that we're maintaining where we were the prior month. Actually, we're in the ballpark within 1 or 2%. I know last month somebody questioned our data and wanted a source data, which I don't think is appropriate for us to provide at this point. But I will tell you that if you called us today, you would be seen as early as Friday. We have available appointments on Friday for in-home. We can see you today in shop if you call us. And that is even with two techs being out today. We had two call in today. So our current staffing is 8 full-time service techs. And then if you add up everybody, we have 20 total technicians who can do service. But when you apply my factor of sort of a time assessment of what each individual would be dedicated to service, we're looking at about a 9.1 ratio. Um, it was it February was actually a tough month for us with weather and everything, and we still maintained our ability to see folks even with a couple days lost due to weather. Um, our I to C, which is our internal measurement, continues to stay at a stable rate with their staffing. We don't see any. In fact, we added another staff member back as a service tech. We had 7. I think if you go back to my January or my December report, we had 7 full-time service techs. So we added another full-time service tech back. And we have not used resources from New York like we were using previously, where we were pulling techs out of New York. In fact, we're sending some techs from Rocky Hill up to Taunton, our Massachusetts location, because we're down a couple techs there. So we are even able to maintain our current timeframes with moving our technicians around like this. Our manufacturer ship times, which is not a factor on all orders because of what we've done to boost up what we're keeping in inventory from a stock standpoint, is up 6 days over last year. So when we do have to order a part, even though that's not in the calculation, it still is in the overall time that the customer waits for the product, is up 6 days year over year. So we're waiting 6 more days for getting parts from our manufacturers. So the fact that we are stocking more parts is helping us in a huge way. And, again, some questioning our numbers. We have a number of repairs where we're completing in 1 day right now. If someone comes into our office, we have the part, they get fixed in 1 day, same day. So that is what is impacting our overall numbers. If we have the part and it's on the truck and we do an in-home assessment and can fix it on the spot, that's a 1 day turnaround as well. And, some of the variation in our numbers here, maybe versus us and NSM, has to do with also the availability of the customer to accept the date that we're offering that we can be there, or that the chair, as we said, we factor out when the chair is not available. That is taken out of the numbers as the calculation is determined. So I stand behind our numbers. I feel like we continue to improve every day. I feel like we are responsive when there are escalations, or whenever Becky has reached out to me, or Maureen or anybody has reached out to me, I think we've been responsive. So, any questions?
So, when you're repairing the chairs same day, I assume that is Medicaid or where you don't have prior auth, or is that are you just repairing? If you have the parts, you're just going to put them in.
We've eliminated prior auth in a lot of cases.
Right.
So if no prior auth.
I'm thinking like Medicare still has
Yeah.
prior auth.
Yeah, Medicare. If we can get if we understand that we have all the documentation, we know that the person bought the chair from us, we know the chair was paid for, we'll take the risk on the authorization.
Okay. Sheldon?
Yeah, by the way, and the last thing you said, Maureen, about Medicare requires prior auth. Medicare doesn't require prior auth for repairs.
I meant the
Medicare Advantage.
Advantage programs.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. So my question is about averages. So looking at this report, let me see, I have to pull it up, sorry. New motion reporting form. You're conducting on average an assessment in 4 business days or 5 calendar days. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. So, and some are 0, meaning that means literally the same day.
Correct.
And then there's an outliers, there's a maximum of 34.
Right.
Now going down to repairs, total time, the last block, number 6. You have, again, some repairs are 0, meaning you were able, not only did you assess, but you were able to actually fix it in the same day.
Correct.
Right. And then you have a maximum of 10 business days to repair and an average of 10 business days to repair. You don't have to be a mathematician to know an average is somewhere in between the top and the bottom. And the bottom is 0 and the top is 10.
Let me check that one because these numbers are taken from another report we do internally and make sure that wasn't transposed. So,
Well, it's not transposed, it's that you couldn't have an average which is actually equal to the top, but doesn't matter.
I agree with you there.
Yeah.
I'm agreeing with you there. I'm saying that that might have been typed in wrong because this is entered on this form. We have our own, it comes out of our system and we fill this form. Let me just double check that. The last report I had from our internal, let's see. And it is, I've got a, well, that's what they have on the report. I'm going to have to go back and check that because that can't be right. So I will correct that one. I will get correct information on those final numbers. But, you know, at the end of the day, you know, when we have open appointments 2 days out, I think we're getting where we need to be.
So I think this has come up before, correct? Joe and Sheldon?
Not this average versus
Oh,
top thing. No,
no? Okay.
I don't think so.
Let me check with I will report back. Let me check with our internal people that run this for me and double check that and and then I can better understand why it's that. But the numbers, you know, they track with what we are seeing internally as far as the success in completing you know, as long as the equipment is available for us, completing the repair in the timeframes that's requested.
So my other question is, it is true that we have been watching the data from both your company and NSM, and NSM's data has seemed to be more, I'll say, internally consistent. And also there have been fluctuations which totally make sense, like related to snowstorms, you know, and all that. You know, you're consistently at 97%, you say. And then you had an explanation just a moment ago. You said that people may be more available for the times that you give them than maybe at NSM. And I'm trying to figure out, these are fairly large numbers, hundreds of repairs. Why would that be the case? Why would it be the case that NSM, the customers would be less available?
Trying to think back to my words about how I said it, but I'm not saying they would be more available. It's just when we offer the times, you know, two days out, you know, some people aren't available for them. And then we had, what I was trying to say is that's where the outliers come in. Like we may offer them Friday for an eval and they're not available Friday and it may go out another week or so. So that's what that was meant to talk about. Not about us, our customers are less available or more available than NSM's customers. That's not what I intended.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought that's what you were saying. Somehow you were comparing your data to NSM's because of
No, I'm just saying we have availability. You know, like I said, if somebody want to bring their chair in today, we could see them today. You know, we have open appointments as of Friday right now and into next week. So if people are available, we can put them in if they're okay with the times that we have available.
Thank you.
Thank you, and I will check those numbers for you. Any other questions?
Doesn't look it. Okay, thank you, Gary.
Thank you.
And I think we have Diane up next.
Good morning. Just kind of summarize, we're kind of stuck around. We didn't hit the 90+% that we always have as targets. In February, we did have about 352 orders. 41 of those were at our fault. Some of it was due to, did have 2 snow days in February, unfortunately, that we did shut down some of our services and had to reschedule. So due to that, we did not meet some of our timelines around that. So right now for the month of February, we're at 88% compliance within the timelines on those. The other thing is too that we had staffing's been pretty stable, but we did have a couple people out with illnesses, unfortunately, too, in February, which contributed some of our rescheduling. That's basically our fault. If they're sick, it's on us. But overall, it's been fairly consistent on that. Staffing hasn't changed other than what I shared last month. That report and summary report is in there also. And there's no, I think, but I think month of February, March, we're much better on track again to get those 90 some plus percentile setting up on that. So I'm not going to read a report to you, but I'm going to ask if you just have any questions or clarifications that might be a conflict on the summary report percentages, but the percentages are pretty much consistent what we had in January too. But of course, our goals is always to be in the 90s. But unfortunately, due to a couple of those snow days and some of the staff call offs, we didn't hit that number. Any questions?
It doesn't look it. I do. Oh, Sheldon,
Go
do
ahead.
you have a question?
Yeah, I had a question about just the overall new orders created for new motion was 283, and for NSM was 352.
Yep.
So that is a bit of an inverse from historically. I
We got
think,
more.
yeah, yeah.
We got more. Yes. If you look at our past couple of months, it seems to be coming more. And it is what it is. We're trying to, and we're talking about, actually got a meeting this week with my CEO to look at some of our staffing and what we need to do to, because we're starting to see increases in how we're going to adjust those. And then coming out of it. So that's part of my conversations tomorrow afternoon that I have with my CEO and looking at the marketplace. And we had some leadership changes that occurred the month prior. So we're looking at realignments on that too. So we're trying to get a grasp on all that with some of this fluidity that's going, Sheldon and team. So
Can you, just in terms of why that is the case, are you, is your sales volume going up? Because I mean, sort of indirectly, that would make sense that if you're selling more, there'd be
Miss
more,
Sheldon, to be honest with you, there's new people coming to us that we have picked up. And I've been reached out to by some plans to pick up some clients. And when they reach out to me, we try to look at it and pick it up. So yeah, our volume has gone up quite a bit this past quarter, it looks like. And we used to be like upper 200s. Now we've been over 300 plus now pretty consistently these past couple months, which is not uncommon too. So like, let's say fourth quarter, which you will get a bump. So I'm hoping it stabilizes out. So typically Q4 for us as companies, and I'm sure Gary will say the same thing. Q4, a lot of new equipment goes in. You'll get adjustments, which are not repairs. Let's make sure we're very clear on that, because technically adjustments to new equipment, which is expected. Someone gets in a new chair for 30 days, starts feeling it. They're going to want adjustments done to their chair. That's the norm. That's not a repair. That's an adjustment. But typically, once you get that 3 to 4 months in or whatever, depending on it, so end of the year, you always seem to get an influx. There's always something that comes up. Something doesn't seem to be work. There's a defect. It might be warranty work. It might be whatever. But we get these ebbs and flows. And it's pretty typical that you see this. And we talked about that too. You do have cyclical cycles throughout the year that we get hit. But also a little bit of backlog too. Sometimes will happen because of whatever happened during the holidays and things get pushed back and some things might go up and you're trying to get those pushed out fast as you can. So I do expect some ebb and flow, but unfortunately we have been getting more and more. It seems to be, yeah.
Just to follow up on the causes, and of course those things like the cyclical, like the season thing would be true for all the companies.
Yeah.
is in addition to what I suggest, which you thought was not the cause, which is more sales. So does that mean there are some people who had been going to New Motion for repairs who are now going, who got the chair from New Motion, who are now coming to you guys for repair?
Some, and there's some others, other providers too that are not doing it, that have been asked to be picked up. We have had some calls on that. Of course, we don't have reports from those companies that are in the state from the other two locations, but we have had stuff that came to us and got picked up.
Okay. Thanks a lot. I'm trying to figure that
Yep.
out. Okay.
Yep. Yep.
So
Daryl?
the other ones that are not that you said that you had to pick up, are they people who come from out of state because or are they from the other little companies?
The other little companies.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Daryl, go ahead.
Hey guys, thanks for taking time out today to be here. Yeah, so I have like a personal chair order that I have an open order right now. Communication has been great since a few days after it started, the initial kind of reaching out email wise for my order to initiate on a Monday 3/2. March 2nd. I emailed like afternoon, so I didn't expect the response the day after. So I got a response, on 3/4, which was, one business day later. So I know you guys were working hard on getting back there. But then we set up an evaluation. And this is where I got a little frustrated because I was supposed to have evaluation like later on Thursday PM. And I was like, you know what, that's fine. It gives me extra time to come home from work. But when it came to be like 2 hours past the window at like 6:15, 6:22 or whatever it was, I didn't even hear from one of the texts to just give a heads up. I know I already addressed this and we communicated directly, with the Newington office, so that was dealt with. I do really think we want to start pushing these virtual assessments, especially for people that are pretty aware of their abilities. I know, you guys wanted to do an in-home or at work assessment, and I think that's great too, because I know there was like a safety concern aspect to it with some of the fork stem variants, but for certain situations, I feel like we could have cut down a few days if we just went right to virtual. Because the next day in the morning on Friday in the morning, I was asked, oh, well, we could reschedule to 3/10. And that's already going from, say, March 3rd all the way to the 10th.
Yeah.
That's 7 calendar days. And I'm like, dude, this isn't acceptable. So luckily we just got a virtual assessment.
And that's counted against us when we do that too, when it's on us.
Yeah.
So that's why you'll see those number misses when we don't, because once we go out, we have it within our system, which I know is not required, but we have it within our system. If we can't get the evaluation within 3 days, we're going to be non-compliant in order to get everything else, all the steps that go along with it. So that's a self-imposed that we did. But those are good points. Is the problem and the concern I have, Daryl, with this is being able to put all the demographics in there. We want to be able to do virtual right off the bat when someone calls. The first thing we're trying to do is get our virtual senior tech team to do that evaluation for you. So if they didn't do that with you ahead of time, but they decided to want to do it in person, what was the reason why they wanted to do it in person with you? Did they say? I would just like to know for my own benefit, going back with my conversations I have scheduled tomorrow.
The one guy, and I'm not sure if it was his tech, I did think he wanted to like look at it and see how he could like adjust it or anything. And I'm pretty compliant in that area. So I didn't see a need for it. So I just went on with it. And I was like, you know what, I can make myself available. And it was, that Thursday night came down. Meanwhile, I had to change a tire out in the rain that night, at like 9 o'clock, because I was holding off. I was like, I can't go help right now, but so I put off something just because I wanted there, but I didn't even get a contact. And and
they should have let you know that they were running behind from the previous evaluation or something that ran over on the previous appointment of prayer with you. And and then we run into that quite frequently, like something we think is, and we uncover something else and runs over for all the best laid plans. But regardless of that, they should have been able to step away for the minute, hopefully with the customer saying, hey, can I just make a call my next guy? I got to let them know we're going to be longer. That should have happened. But totally. Why it didn't, I don't know. But that's a good question. The only thing I have struggled with is being able to the point, like you brought up, Daryl, your stuff inside and out, right? How do we put that in the demographics for This person could do virtual most of the time. He knows equipment. It's hard for us to do that because if something comes into the customer centralized service, let's say the branch is not able to pick up and it goes to our Chattanooga office for their central customer service to pick up that line. They're going to see some of the stuff. We don't have a way to do every single individual person to say, do this with them all the time. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of one of those things. They're going to automatically try to get you hooked up with RSS if they can. If not, they're going to try to go back and schedule and see what it is. We're trying to figure out that coordination between the remote diagnostics and then the field team. Also to capitalize on that to say, oh, we can do this right off the bat. But RSS, who are remote service techs who are doing the virtual with you, don't always have that ability to see that line of sight. It's another system, it's another manual process. And that's part of the IT challenges that we're trying to build. The challenge, I think, and I think Gary, I could speak for even New Motion when I was there, because of the uniqueness of what we are doing with our product lines, it's not like you can build a Salesforce software to do these type of things for all the demographics and that. Because of what it takes to do with our coordination with our manufacturers, with the coordination with the repair, looking at what it is, your past history, like it doesn't always pull in. We have to do every individual work order depending what it is, sets up. It doesn't automatically pull it in. That's a lot of IT build because our software, because of what it is homegrown built. It's not a package you go out and get like you think of a logistics software or what have you. There's certain things that we have to, because of uniqueness, it's kind of been in our systems forever. That's sometimes the IT challenges that we're talking about. So for all these things that are great ideas, it's not like Amazon. We're not Amazon, nor do we have the funds like Amazon does to go in and just build out these logistics systems that can go here, here, and here, here. It's the unfortunate thing of what we're dealing with in the reality. It's a lot of, we're trying to figure it out, different investments around this, trying to get those type of systems and how can we work this faster with all the uniqueness of what we have to do. To your very point, like Gary, we should, Daryl, we should probably put in your file folder in your demographics, hey, he knows his stuff inside out. Just ask him. He's going to tell you right. And if he told us wrong, that's on him. It's okay. Type of thing.
Yeah.
Like move
No,
along.
totally. Yeah, because then I think it would
Yeah.
alleviate burden in other areas that you guys
Exactly.
might have, and
Exactly.
free
But
up a
that's
couple
some
other
of that's
techs.
yeah, but that's some of the challenges that we have with our systems and that. And that's why it's a lot of IT and a lot of the stuff that we're doing for this bill and this market, it's manual. It's all
Yeah.
manual, it's man hours that go into this. It's not a system. Like I have some Power BI reports able to pull some of the stuff that we built, but it's still a manual I mean, we have to go in like that summary spreadsheet. Now, a person is going in and looking and double checking and mailing up and then doing the math and put, because there's no IT build that fits it exactly for how this stuff is designed. So that's why I put a summary to kind of explain, this says one thing on the forums and we did the best we could when Sheldon, John, and I kind of got together, say, hey, well, this is what this is what it looks like, but there's still nuances as we're going through that to build those systems. We still are constantly doing it. Will we ever get it perfect? No, I don't think so, because this is not a perfect system that we're dealing with. There's so much to the struggles of repairs and how the reviews go and how the timelines and then the nuances of this. I mean,
Yeah.
I had a meeting with CMS yesterday talking about repairs, and this is the things they're asking all these questions. What's a typical day like? What is some of the struggles? What can we do policy wise that we can, these are all the things that we're talking about. It's not like, I want to get it done as fast as time because I want to turn and burn, get it done, get it out. It's not our intent to sit on our haunches. It doesn't help anybody, but
No,
this is
definitely.
also the struggles that we have on the IT side of this. This is why it's hard to, the data points and making sure it matches up to what the expectations are and how do you translate that, right? How do you program that? It's not an easy thing. We're constantly, IT is my number one headache on trying to get some of this stuff to try to build these reports. And there's, you want to make sure they're accurate, depicting what exactly is occurring and how does that look?
Yeah. And I just had a clarification. Thank you for explaining that. Clarification on the checklist where it has like collecting insurance information and awaiting insurance approval. It did say that on 313, the approved items were ordered, but I think that was just when the PO was probably open.
Correct. To probably put in it
like.
Because if you don't need a prior auth on something, we're not going to do that. It's automatically going to buy stuff that's past that point. And we're going to put the POs in and say, oh, we got it. see,
Yeah.
we credit accept, we all do, because a lot of these things, like to the point Gary is bringing up, like Medicare, you don't need to have a prior auth, but you do have to have a current medical need established and RX on file. Sometimes we have to go back to the doctor's office and say, we don't have a current one that's 12 months or less old. We're going to have to get that on file. You just have to have that before you do delivery, technically.
Yeah,
So there's
definitely.
sometimes we can credit accept, but just go and do it because we'll get the RX in time before we go and bill, right? So there's
Yeah.
nuances of that you got to be able to build into your system and understand. So,
Absolutely.
Medicare doesn't
Yeah.
require prior auth, but they do require an RX on file saying the medical need is still established for the next 12 months. And so that always has to be updated every year. And then
Yeah.
also we have to report to Medicare if they've had so many repairs over the past XYZ and it's over 60% value now of the chair, what they originally bought. We're supposed to report that to CMS also to say, you may want to replace. We've done enough repairs now that you spend over 60% of the value of that chair. You may want to replace it. So those
Yeah,
are things
and
that we got to
and
track and go back and report because
yeah,
they will ask for that at the
yeah, and
end.
mine was a more extensive repair in that timeline window is a
Yeah.
factor too that I think might have impacted this. And it just yesterday we got the script and the detailed written order figured out.
Yep.
And additional documents required by paper, and it is estimating the insurance approval through insurance through
Yeah.
Anthem. This particular chair, I buy other chairs, out of pocket
Yeah.
just because sometimes it's hard.
And Daryl, that's a
have-
good question that you bring up. And so I like to kind of touch base on this for the whole group. So like a lot of times, let's talk about with those of you who have commercial insurance, like UHC. UHC requires us, even though they might not get prior auth, but if it goes over $1,000 threshold, they're going to ask for a prior auth. A lot of times what they also ask for, which is additional paperwork, is they'll ask for the history of the repairs that we did. Because they're going to want a cost versus replace analysis every single time we do a stinking repair. We have to submit this in. Even if you don't necessarily have to, because they're going to ask for it on the back end. So we're trying to get all that data points. But we count that stuff within there. So when you're looking at all these things, you have to understand that and understand what the historicals that their plans may come back and ask for. Because if we don't submit that, we don't get paid. Even if we did the repair, it doesn't matter. We write those off. It happens all the time. And so these are some of the things I want to make sure everyone understands those nuances. And it's also great, with the fee for service Medicaid side of the business, which is 30 to 35% of our caseload. That's great. You remove the prior auth and other stuff, and that saves time and additional paperwork and what have you. But a lot of times the primaries, you still have to go through that. So that's why you're going to see that. And sometimes that's what that means when we're in that tracking, when you go onto the portal and see what your order status is.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
On a
so-
side note, this has a little bit to do with my repair. But I do think, I would like to work together on ways we could try to advocate for that K5 billing code. Because a lot of times we can't even, bill for the K5, the ultra lightweight, whether it be a carbon chair and a titanium. That's a different conversation, but
there's a bill
meeting.
now, Daryl, there's a bill with
Okay.
that we're trying to get through to CMS to waive or have the ability to do that. You can't, CMS did a bad thing 5 years ago when they changed the language on a K5 saying everything's treated the same, whether it's a titanium, aluminum, heavy carbon fiber, whatever. And that's not correct because those bases cost significantly different, right? And I understand the efficacy behind it because they do last a long time. They hold up better during that 5-year useful life, etc. The weight difference between aluminum and a titanium is only like 3.5 pounds or whatever, but the strength and flexibility of those are the things that people want. We're trying to get that so we can bypass that and be able to do what you call an upgrade, if you want to call it an upgrade. That's in process. It's been introduced a number of times. We're waiting for that to get pushed through, but with everything that's happened this past year in the world of politics and everything else, and then the moratoriums that we're dealing with, it's been put on the back burner. It's still been introduced. We still have some of our senators and that brought that up. I'm hoping that gets through this year. Hopefully it comes back in the fall or the summertime and gets passed so we can get that to our plans. But that's the struggle bus that we're on. We are trying to address it as an industry because when that went out, that screwed everything up.
Can you please share that bill? Because I have a ton of people that could rally.
I'll follow up with that.
I'd like to advocate for that.
Whole proposal that's been out there. If you even go onto the NCART website, we have that all listed. All those the bills and things that are in. It was with Senator Duckworth and Blackburn and a whole bunch of people introduced those. They're out there. So is standing
Okay,
frame
great.
stuff that's out there too. There's two bills out there right now trying to get coverage and exception approvals on those because of now we're hitting that window where all the 5 years of that useful life is done and now people are not,
Yes.
because we're
Yeah.
not going to give it away for free because that looks like inducement. If I'm going to do that for everybody, that looks like inducement. Like, wait a second, this was paid for in the past, now it's not.
Definitely.
And that's some of the questions that came up during that time. So there's certain regulations and people are looking at like, wait, I can't do this. Yeah, being reimbursed the same amount, which is a $1,000 loss for this chair now on us.
Mhm.
So,
Definitely.
those are things that we're looking at in some of the bills and how this stuff needs to be clarified.
Okay.
But it's
Thank
out
you,
there.
Diane.
It's
I'll look
right
into that.
there. Yep,
Okay. All right. Appreciate it.
it's
Thank
all
you.
there. You betcha.
Awesome.
Any other questions? Sorry, I probably went on my soapbox there on.
I do have a question, and this is for both you and Gary. Just the Wheelchair Coalition, we've had an it feels like an influx, but it's really only 4 or 5 people who suddenly have foot plate issues, and they seem to be a little more complicated. Gary, I think a foot plate issue is under the seating tech, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it just, if you, do you know of any issues like with the manufacturers or just anything, or is this just a fluke because it's just a coincidence that we have 5 issues?
Yeah, I don't know of any, huge issue with any particular manufacturer. I know that some people's design of their foot plates, because a lot of users use the foot plates to open doors and catch walls and things with them. And so sometimes we see spikes in those things. And I know some manufacturers seem to see it more than others, but I haven't seen or I haven't heard of a huge jump in them. I'm happy to look at any of the ones that you have and try and tie them back to anything that is an ongoing issue.
And am I correct? It would be through the seating tech or?
Yeah, that's a seating thing because foot position is critical with a lot of folks, because it can dictate, pressure issues and other issues. So yeah, that we do that with seating folks, not our service techs.
Okay. And Diane, is that the same?
It's both. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's both. So, and it depends. It depends on what type of foot plate it is, and if there's something alignment that this seems to be. And we also know depending on how the person's using it out in the field. I had one client that has a tendency to hit their foot plates against curbs.
Yep.
So it's all varied, but a lot of times those are just pressure points or how they're weight shifting too. And if it's one side over another, there's going to be adjustments that are needed. That's not uncommon. But actual broken foot plates, there's been nothing I've had reported from our manufacturers or anything like that of something that's being faulty. If that's what the questions you're asking, Maureen, or
Yeah.
at a deficit or anything like that, we haven't had anything like that.
Yeah, we had one person tell us that that you guys told her that the manufacturer had changed, or you don't work with a manufacturer anymore, so there was a delay there.
I can't answer that question without knowing more details.
Oh, no. It was for NSM.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's a good question. I would have to see what that is. Do you
Okay.
have them, if you got the person's name,
Yeah,
send that to me
Sure.
via email, just for HIPAA compliance here, please.
absolutely.
Have them, or just have them reach out to me directly, either or is fine, and I can follow
Okay.
back up on that.
Great. Great. And my other question, this goes back to something you had said a while back, Diane, about people who are like hanging on to old equipment and they want it repaired. And it would be my understanding that insurance, like what you were just talking about, insurance isn't going to cover an old chair. Is that
There's some states, Massachusetts is doing it, power backup chair repairs, they're allowing
Okay.
it. New York Medicaid just added it this year, effective 1/1. They're allowing power backup chair repairs because they know the struggles with getting loaners and configuration and that. So there's certain guidelines within that. So there are some things that would be nice if we had that ability, but again, it's a cost factor, but they're capping it. I mean, if someone has a new chair and, hopefully the seating and all, the most important thing is when we're talking about our multi-power group 3 chairs, especially 9 times out of 10, those clients are usually a specialized seats and backs too, or something like that. And you can't just be swapped out to group 2 multi-power or something like that, or or group 3 standard, they might need a recline, they might need whatever. And we don't have a lot of those sitting around. We're not a rental. Most of the stuff we're doing is purchased. That's the struggles that we run into. And so those are some of the things that we're talking about, the ability to maintain your backup chair, just so you have some, so you're never hard down, right?
Yeah.
Mainly for those power users that are more complex. That's where the struggle comes in. That's where it's the hardest to find a loaner chair for a backup. We don't carry a lot of those.
Yeah. And so far in these states, is that pretty new? Are you?
Mass Health has been doing it now for a year and a half. New York is a brand new one. They used to do it in a small program in New York, which was another group that was doing those for specialized needs program that, went under now VNS, but then the state realized that program was of benefit, and they had the conversations and realized it is a struggle to get loaner chairs for those people in those type of configured seats and configurations of the wheelchairs. And so they put that in place this year.
Okay. So does it seem to be going well? Is it putting more of a
It just started in
strain?
New York, it works,
Yeah.
and then in Massachusetts, it's been going on for the past year. It's just adding on to it. Again, it's workload too. We got to remember, we got to be able to do the regular repair, maintain
Yes,
those.
that's what I was
It's
wondering.
all kind of works up. A lot of times, what people will do though, what has worked, we always ask the customer if you can have someone bring in your power backup chair to our branch because you're not using it right now, but you
Right.
want to get it, drop it off. And that's been what we've been seeing. We've been trying to doing those type of things where it's not taken away from the client's time in their current chair. It's not an issue. They have the ability to have it dropped off. We'll have it sent back to them. It's good to go. Now they have a backup in case their primary goes down. That is what we've been doing with some of those. Same with the preventive maintenance. A lot of it's like bring it, come into the branch when you know you're out and about. We schedule it. Those are things so we can keep our focus on the repairs in the homes. So it's kind of like what we've been doing to make that work, but it seems to be starting to get a little bit more better at that. Can it get to the volume that we need to? Again, so capacity, trying to get it to make it work. But what we're trying to do with those situations, like in New York and Massachusetts, like for the preventive maintenance and some of those things, we're automatically asking at the time of when we were delivering their equipment, hey, let's schedule this XYZ far enough in advance so they can bring those things in or have it prearranged to drop off so it's not an inconvenience. And that's what's been working.
Good. Well, I think it would be worthwhile to keep an eye on it. Just as if we can ever get it in Connecticut, that would be great. So just see how you guys are doing in the other states.
Very good.
Yeah.
Diane,
Do
are
you
you
have
talking
any
about
other?
what
Oh, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
I'm sorry.
No,
Go
I was
ahead,
just asking
Gary.
Diane a question. Diane, you're talking about what used to be the ICS program?
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
Yep. It's now on a roll under VNS. Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. And do you have anything else to add to what Diane said?
No,
Yeah.
I want to make sure I was aware what she was talking about.
Oh.
Sorry. Thank you.
Well, if we don't have any other questions for Diane or Gary, we can move over to OHA and Becky.
Good morning, everyone. I don't really have a big report this month for OHA. We didn't get any referrals, which was strange. We usually get one or a few. Something that we have been seeing is some insurance issues with wheelchair denials. And so when that happens, OHA takes that on as a court case, so it doesn't go to the repair side. And so I don't see those cases. But I have seen that some of those cases have gone through, and there's been some appeals going through our agency. So I have to piggyback on what Gary said. Everything that we've reached out to Gary or Diane has been really, really beneficial. They've been jumping in and helping out right away, and we've seen some really fast turnarounds with help and assistance. And thanks, Gary, on the last case. I mean, you were consistent. You even followed up with me and said, "Hey, look, I haven't heard from you in a day or two. What's going on with this case? We want to make sure we help." So I have to give kudos to that, and I do appreciate the forthcomingness and the willingness and all of that work that goes on behind the scenes that sometimes we don't get to hear about here because we hear about numbers and the like. But as far as our relationship, I feel like we formed a really great one, and I'm really thankful for that. And then as far as our website, we're still working with the IT. So the same thing that I reported last month. We've had some hiccups there, just some timeline issues about getting everything implemented. We're also working with OHA to update other forms on our site. So it's kind of going together. The whole system upgrade is happening at the same time. So as soon as that happens, we'll let you know. I know it will be a lot better for the consumers just be able to click when they file a complaint. They can just fill out the new motions form or the NSM form. But I have to say, those have been wonderful resources because we're able to just chat right away and I can send them or my staff can send them ahead of time. And it gives us authority to be able to have those conversations. And I know that we're really excited about the progress everyone's, been doing, and I'm almost a couple years now into this, so it's been really, really beneficial for us. And we hope that OHA can help out more. And I know I put this out before, but if anybody wants to touch base with me or needs me to go speak at a meeting or talk about what we do at OHA or how I can help implement the repair complaints being more readily available and people making more informed complaints, I'm more than happy to speak at meetings or attend Zoom calls or attend, advocacy groups or anything like that. Or if I can help out in any way for the providers or even the people here who work for the state or any advocacy group, just let me know. Does anybody have any questions? I'm sorry, I have a little cold air too, so if my voice is kind of cracking. Questions?
This looks like an easy day. We don't have a lot of questions today. We do have Joe. Okay, go ahead. Joe, you're muted if you're talking.
There we go. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. So I just had a couple points I wanted to touch on and a couple questions as well. First off, Gary, you had said your texts are a lot more available and everything, and I do want to point out that that has been my experience as well in the past. If they call up and they say, we've got an appointment that we can come out tomorrow and you can't make that, normally it would take another week to be able to get an appointment in, and your texts have been incredible as far as being like, no, we can come out tomorrow, we can come out the following day, we can come out Monday. They've been pretty impressive with that. So I did want to pat you on the back for that one.
Well, thank you.
And I wanted to throw this out to both you and Diane. I have an order now, and I got a call from someone at NewMotion saying that they got the authorization in and everything, and they pre-ordered the parts before they got the authorization and everything, but they're still waiting on the parts, and they still have no idea when the parts are going to be coming in. And is this a common problem? Because we're going at like 3 weeks now, and they still have no idea when the parts are coming in.
I have no idea who the manufacturer is, but there are a couple different manufacturers that we are running into serious issues with turnaround times. I mean, one Albert who does a power add-on unit, they're 6 months to 9 months before they send us.
This is Permobil motor. And I was kind of they couldn't even give me an estimated time of when they're going to get the parts, and that was pre-ordering it, not even waiting until they got the authorization.
Yeah. Was it how old's your chair, Joe?
3 years old.
Okay, let me look into it and I'll get back to you. I'll check on it.
There's been some back orders, Gary, for some Permobil parts, so I'm going to be surprised on that if that's the case. I just went while you're talking. There's been a couple manufacturers with some back order problems right now, depending on what the part is. So I'm wondering if that's what it is. A lot of times we'll credit accept if we know it's something that's always going to be pretty much approved 9 times out of 10, or it's a common part or something like that. But if we do, there's a couple of manufacturers right now, there's been some delays. And we don't know ETA because coming overseas, because of some of the things of where it's coming out of, it's been a little bit, as we all know, what's going on overseas right now. There's been some delays in transport, and I know that's been contributing to some of it, but that might be might be it, Joe. Typically when we see that, it's because the manufacturer's delayed from overseas coming over to them to do what they got to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've had two major manufacturers that moved their manufacturing to Mexico in the last year. And that's creating a lot of, one of them's a seating company, which isn't a whole lot about repairs, but when getting new chairs, it's an issue. But, Sunrise has been a nightmare getting things correctly in the last year and a half. So, yeah, there's some of that going on, but yeah, I'll look under your order and see what I can find out.
So
Yeah.
then my last question is this goes back a long time ago when we first started this, and this was regarding the accessibility of in shop. And typically I have to have my assessments and repairs at home just because I can't transfer on my own. But I happen to this was something that I didn't need to get out of my chair, and I was up in Hartford, so I was able to make an appointment and go in shop. And I uh, I was curious to know when we had talked a long time ago. When we talked a long time ago, you said you were going to you were going to put in transfer benches that were going to be adjustable, so that you could do level transfers, so that we could have people be able to stop into the shop, because that was great being able to just stop into the shop and have them do an assessment, knowing that I didn't have to get out of the chair. But we had discussed a long time ago about the option of having tables that were adjustable so we could do level transfers. And when I went there, your shop has moved, but the same, wooden solid tables are still there that are inaccessible to individuals such as myself that need to do a level transfer. And I know, Diane, you were saying you were having in other states people coming into the shop to be able to do that preventive maintenance and everything. Do you have adjust?
Yeah, we'll have Hoyers and high-low tables in some of those
Yeah,
locations.
and I think that, I mean, it was great being able to do the assessment and everything like that. And if you can make that accessible to people, so that they have that option to be able to have a level transfer, I think that it would increase the timeliness as far as that goes.
Yeah, we're supposed to be having one in Rocky Hill. I know we have Hoyers there. I know we have, just the regular basic mat tables, but we should have a high-low, at least one of them there at Rocky Hill. So I'll look into that.
Yeah, I mean, the Hoyers and the lifts are great if you have, a PCA that can go with you.
Right.
But being able to stop in and be able to do the transfer. I know we had talked about that years ago, and I was a little disappointed to see that you moved to a new facility, but are still rocking the
Yeah.
same old equipment.
Yeah, I think they were supposed to put one in. I got to check why it didn't happen. But yeah, we were supposed to, one of the upgrades we were supposed to do as far as that move was that. So I'll have to check with Mark or whoever there to find out why.
All right. And that's it for questions for me. Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.
All right, Becky.
Gary, I was just curious about those two companies that moved to Mexico. Were they moving from the US or another country? And is the product coming in faster from Mexico, or is it making it worse in Mexico?
It's making it worse right now, but it was one of them was Sunrise Medical that was based out of Fresno, California, and they moved and they had some stuff in Colorado and they moved their most of their manufacturing over to Mexico. And then Freedom Design, it was a seating manufacturer, recently moved, and we're seeing 6 to 9 month turnaround times. And what happens when they do this is obviously they can't move their whole team of folks. So they have to hire people in Mexico and train them. And now they take some of their managers and everybody down to Mexico to do it. But it takes a while for them to get fully up to speed, and then they get all their information systems tied in and things like that. So it's a challenge.
Thanks for sharing.
Okay. I mean, it looks like we're wrapped up. We don't really have any new business, but I'm glad to see that we're able to get our meetings under an hour. I mean, maybe in the future we can look at cutting back on that. I would want to use this time to talk about some of the non-legislative recommendations that we had from the report. However, we do most of the advocates are going into Hartford to talk about some other disability related issues. So I'm not going to, if we can cut the meeting short, but I do know, Becky, you probably haven't started working on this yet, but you and David have taken on the task to work on the disability or the wheelchair user Bill of Rights. So that's good. And I think the plan was to kind of wait until after the session was over and for you guys to actually have time to work on that. But and then there are other things that we can talk about like scheduling people for their appointments. I know when people have a PCA, we have to schedule around them, and how can we do that to get faster repairs? But anyway, if anyone has anything else, please speak now.
As far as the subcommittee, obviously it would be great for more people to join in. I
Yes.
know it's David and I
Yes.
now, but obviously we need more to really create what we need to create, right? It just shouldn't be David and I. So
Right.
after the session ends, it would be great to get more people to join in and be part of that. And I look forward to working with everyone on that.
Yeah, and we were hoping to get some input from some non-council member wheelchair users. There are some wheelchair users who have worked on Bill of Rights for medical accessibility, and so they have some experience with that. So we might drag them in just to get their input and see what we can come up with. But if we don't have any other questions, I'll take a motion to adjourn. Oh, wait, sorry, I'm not taking a motion to adjourn. We have to do our next meeting. Is the third Wednesday good for our next meeting? That would be the 15th, tax day. Does that work?
Mhm.
Maureen,
Okay.
I'm off that week. My wife
Oh.
is having surgery that Monday.
Oh,
But don't go by me if
do we
the
want to?
majority can do it that week. There's a possibility I might be back by Wednesday, but I got to see how things go.
Yeah, no, we don't want to. 22nd? Does the 22nd work for everyone?
That works for me.
Yes.
I'll make
Works
it
for
work.
me.
For me?
Works for me.
Okay. All right, so now I'll take that motion to adjourn.
Motion
Okay.
approved.
Yeah, second. All right, we're good. Thank you so much, everyone, and we'll see you next month on the 22nd.